I hear it. I hear it.
Yes. I am like a little bit sweaty.
It's warm. Oh, we're just looking at this.
Yeah.
Also,
We're going to talk about Chris Foster first.
oh, I gave it to Jade.
Oh, Jam.
No, you get Jade.
Welcome to San Diego, California, where we have a men's semifinal on the docket for you today. The Pride of New York versus Seattle Sockeye. The 2018 USA Ultimate National Championships are presented by VC Ultimate, providing Ultimate's best custom team uniforms and apparel since 1998. Visit VC on the web at vcultimate.com. Emmy Fitzgerald here with Keith Rayner, about 10 a.m. Pacific time, and it has just been such an exciting few days of Ultimate so far. Keith, what have been some of the standout moments and storylines that you've seen?
Absolutely. I mean, we've had some really wild results across all three divisions, but ultimately we've arrived with mostly the top teams intact here in the bracket. And it has been a thriller, if you're a PoNY fan, a roller coaster to see if this team, who is ascending towards their first opportunity to play deep into the bracket, go up and down, coming back late in games. They've had to fight for their lives multiple times, and this Sockeye team is going to be a tough test for them as well.
And just throughout the tournament, looking at some of the highlights, we talk about grit and grace, and that is so what it has taken for these teams. But with all those exciting moments, it is something that those top seeds are here, kind of showing the depth of the teams that they have.
Absolutely. It's a grueling tournament, and the sun's been beating down on these athletes, and it really does take that grit. But we've also seen these teams really rise as the cream of the crop. Deep teams, really well-prepared teams with tremendous talent, and I'm really, really excited about moving forward in this tournament because these teams are at such a high level and the pressure is just mounting on all of them.
So talking about this PoNY squad, there are so many, quote, superstars on the team. You see a couple of them right there, Ben Yacht, Chris Kocher, Jimmy Mickle. Let's talk about Chris Kocher a little bit and just what an essential part of the PoNY team he's been.
The addition of Jimmy Mickle has been the big story about this PoNY team, and Mickle is one of the best players in the world. But Chris Kocher's presence should not be overlooked. He is not the Robin to Mickle's Batman. Kocher is a playmaker unto himself, a tremendous defender, a consistent handler, someone who gets open. He's a incredible threat in the red zone, great at getting up the line and finding space and making do with what he's got. Kocher is a five-tool player and someone that this Sockeye defense knows they're going to have to contend with if they want to come away with this win.
So then on the Sockeye team, they have so many names that we've heard before as well, but who have been some of the standout players?
Sockeye, a really deep team, but their offense has really been driven by Dylan Freechild and Jacob Janin. The pair of speedsters are electrifying downfield. Excellent footwork. Keep your eye on them to make sure you're not missing any broken ankles. But Janin's speed has allowed him to generate a lot of separation. He's a threat in the deep space and in the underspace with his disc skills. He's going to be a tough one for this PoNY defense to stop.
And the first pull is up to start the game. PoNY in the dark jerseys, Sockeye in the white. Will hammer over the top to Kocher.
Kind of a junky set from Sockeye's defense to start. You're going to see them cycle through a lot of different defensive looks. They're a versatile team, and they like to keep the offense on their toes.
So Harper Garvey with the disc in the backfield shoots to find Sam Little on the far sideline. Ben Yacht right at about midfield. Jimmy Mickle, first touch of the game, shoots for the end zone, looking for Chris Kocher. And we talked about them before the game. Right away, they're going to what they know to get that first score.
Just exemplifying how easy it can be for this offense, particularly when they're getting Kocher and Mickle involved. The duo who played with the Australian team Colony in the World Ultimate Club Championships took them to the semifinals. They have had time to build this chemistry. They've basically already had a season together. It's their first season together on PoNY, but this is basically their second or even third season if you look back at some of the other opportunities they've had to play together. That chemistry comes alive when they're on the field, and you see it at play on that quick score.
And an interesting defensive look that Sockeye put out there on PoNY, but didn't seem like something that PoNY couldn't overcome. They handled it well.
And you could see in the beginning it took them a little bit of time to figure out how they wanted to attack the defense, just moving a lot horizontally. But eventually they found their opportunity and took advantage of it. I think you're going to see Sockeye continue to cycle through different looks because they don't want to try and go one-on-one with Mickle and Kocher. And so they're going to keep trying to find ways to help play team defense. Ben Snell assigned to guarding Mickle on that point. Snell has had a tremendous season as a defender, but going toe-to-toe with Mickle is going to be a difficult task for anybody, so you want to create situations where your team can help defend him rather than one individual.
Be sure to join the conversation online, hashtag USAUNats, as Sockeye gets their first offensive point. There's a little flock of birds just right behind the disc. They just keep moving further and further back. Montague hanging on to it for a while as Freechild right at the front cone. We'll get it out to Matt Russell. Right back to Freechild.
Side stack look for Sockeye to initiate. I think PoNY poaching the lanes, giving up that free horizontal throw to begin.
So really nice swings from side to side, but a bobble. So now PoNY with the first chance to break, and a layout is no good. So another opportunity for Sockeye. Trent Dillon in the middle of the field, up to Montague. And shoots, line drive, looking for Janin, and Janin runs that in. Sockeye gets the goal.
Nervous moments for Seattle fans as that break came up just short, but immediately Sockeye punishes that mistake. And again, you see the speed of one of the players we highlighted, Jacob Janin, turning on the burners. You see the drop there from Raider. Aggressive look. Schlor comes up just short. And Montague not going to turn down the opportunity to put it out in front of the electrifying Jacob Janin. Jumps in the goal.
And you don't see a lot of unforced errors at this level of play. So really a bit of a gift and a huge missed opportunity for PoNY not to convert that break.
Particularly from a veteran like Matt Raider. I know if you look down the ages here and you see 27, you might not think of that guy as someone who's been around for a long time, but Raider's been on this team since he was 16 or so. So
wow.
He has had acres of club experience to work with, and probably regretful about the mistake. But even the best players, when it comes down to these pressure moments, make those kinds of mistakes. Sockeye probably glad to get it back.
There's the pull, Garvey to receive. Over to Keegan. Low throw to Yacht. That's good. Resets it to Keegan. And Yacht kind of working the every other. Now Kocher has the disc. Up the line to Little. Lots of room and space for Garvey to catch it. Throws to Kocher, but pick called.
Kocher being chased around by Phil Murray. Snell still tasked with defending a big threat. This time he's tangling with Yacht.
So disc coming in on one, goes back to Garvey. Kocher gets it, this time on the near side of the field. Mickle, center of the field. Resets that to Keegan. And so much footwork from Jimmy Mickle. Really wants somebody on the break side. And another pick.
In this vertical stack set we see from PoNY, it's so important to be able to reset the disc and get horizontal yards to move from sideline to sideline. You're really creating space to attack those sidelines, and if you can't access both, the defense has a much easier job. PoNY's handler's working really hard to create enough separation to get the disc all the way to the other side of the field.
Mickle continues to Keegan. Has to jump to get it. So a foul called.
Keegan expresses a bit of frustration with his mark Danyan Chen for the contact while they were in the air. Always kind of dangerous to make contact with players while they are off the ground. But Sockeye, I think, has been pressed by their opponents this weekend to really play fairly.
So PoNY approaching the red zone. So far, is grinding on the unders. They'll continue that with Little on the sideline. Short dish to Mickle. And a foul called. There's a lot of commotion right at that front cone.
A bit crowded, and PoNY does this sometimes where they overload that front cone. They're adept at working even in these small chaotic spaces, but never ideal for your offense.
So Mickle will tap it back in. And not a lot of options. Resets to Keegan. And Jimmy just working to stay in that area. Puts that to space to Garvey. Observer kind of scoops back a little. Moves it to Little. Continuing and attacking the break side. PoNY gets the goal.
Emmy, we talk about grit and grace. PoNY exemplifying the grit right about now offensively. I mean, they are making Sockeye work. And Sockeye, an excellent red zone possession defensively, but PoNY finally gives up on trying to jam it in. Says, you know what, we'll take the loss of yards, we'll switch fields, we'll find the open space and take the easy throw rather than trying to stuff it in where there's not a lot of room. A wise decision, showing discipline from the New York offense.
Do you think that lulls the defense a little bit too, keeping it in that small space right there on the force side? And then after a while, maybe Sockeye clamps down in a little bit more, and then they can attack the break side.
Yeah, in a way, I think that as that offense gets more and more antsy about trying to attack that open side, the defense often responds. They see that intensity of attack and work even harder to take it away. Suddenly that opens up all that backside space on the other side of the field, and we see that throw to space to Sean Keegan roughly uncontested.
So PoNY 2, Sockeye 1, and It's pretty sunny out here, 84 degrees Fahrenheit, and a whopping 1 mile an hour wind.
I don't know how these skilled throwers are going to be able to survive these intense gusts.
This is no Sarasota, but they've got to manage. So a split stack from Sockeye. Get the disc in the middle of the field. Barrick. Over, Quizon Teist. Free child, immediate give and go. So foul called downfield. See Matt Rader very much isolated in that deep space.
Interesting job by Sockeye spacing to create a midpoint ISO. That could be very challenging. It takes a lot of time and practice to create this kind of space on the field for a big downfield threat like Rader. John Wodach will be tasked with covering. As we see PoNY and Sockeye, Kofor and Janin trying to figure out who should be where. PoNY defenders rush to help over the top of the ISO.
And that results in some blown coverage. Xander Quizon Teist is there, gets the goal for Sockeye.
Yeah, PoNY's defense overzealous to help there. Two or three defenders just sprinting downfield to stay behind Rader to help Wodach over the top. And in that process, one defender loses their mark, and Quizon Teist, easy layup for Sockeye.
So all tied up at twos. It's always a risk when you play that help defense, kind of assessing what's the greater risk. But sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't.
Absolutely, and these two teams, I think, both had question marks coming into this tournament. Sockeye had not seen a lot of top-level competition. They lost in the regional final to Furious George. There were doubts about if this team, who was almost surprisingly labeled the 2 seed, if they were going to be able to live up to that billing. Meanwhile, PoNY, as a 3 seed, had won 2 of the major tournaments of the season. They knocked off Revolver. They were considered by many to be the first or second title contender. But the way this tournament has played out, the shoe's on the other foot. Sockeye has been impressive in taking care of business, while PoNY has dropped a game to Bravo, struggled against Machine yesterday in their quarterfinal matchup, needed a comeback in order to take that one. So it's been PoNY who's been under duress through their journey to the semifinal.
As PoNY tries to work it on offense. They really looking for the shot. That will not stay in. We're at a lot of options. So Mickle goes deep, but the throw just not executed the way they wanted.
Isaac Saul trying to put up a break side huck to his tempting target, Jimmy Mickle, but a little ambitious given the marking and cannot keep the throw in bounds. So PoNY's defense will give Sockeye their second break chance, or PoNY's offense, excuse me, will give the Sockeye defense their second break chance of the early portion of this game.
So walking it up to where the disc went out of bounds inside of half field. PoNY shoots for the end zone. Trent Dillon underneath, one hand. That's a break. And was out. That was out.
Throw had a little bit too much pace on it. Dillon running out of real estate, tries to toe the back line, but with 2 PoNY defenders in the area, and that throw traveling at a high speed, not able to quite contain it within the bounds of the field.
So PoNY offense, another opportunity. Really high shot that only Ben Yacht could catch, probably. Center to Keegan. Over to Kocher. PoNY offense really on the run. Saul swings over Garvey.
And again, you see this vertical stack from PoNY getting sideline to sideline. I think that's really going to be the marker of success. If Sockeye can keep PoNY on one half of the field for an extended period of time, we may see them be able to generate some pressure turnovers. But if PoNY's able to get sideline to sideline, expand the width of the field, use this entire space, then I think you may see this PoNY offense continue to be successful.
Finds Mickle. Like this Mickle-Dillon matchup.
Callahan winners going head to head.
A lot of spacing from PoNY. Pick called. Count's getting high. It's at 6, the highest it can come in. Get the reset to Keegan. Garvey, lots of pressure on. And a pick called.
And these picks often come in these vertical stack situations because of a lack of spacing and discipline. You've got to maintain stack discipline. That means timing your cuts correctly. It means keeping a good amount of space from each other and keeping open the spaces of the field that you need to attack. PoNY perhaps struggling a little bit with that under the pressure of the Sockeye defense.
And Trent Dillon making Mickle work. You'd expect nothing less, though.
Mickle expressing some frustration with the physicality of Dillon on defense. These two have played together, know each other well, no animosity, but both really, really want this.
So it's not a discussion if there's a little hair pat.
So Mickle's going to keep the disc.
Sees Kocher. Winds have picked up a little bit, now at around 5 miles an hour. Big swing over the top and intercepted by Sockeye. Hold the phone. There's a call.
And a desperation throw, it looked like, from Kocher to try and get something over to the break side as the stall count was rising. I think that should have been a turnover. Sockeye may have bailed PoNY out with the foul. I mean, that's the question would be whether Keegan really had a shot at the disc, but it doesn't look like Sockeye is going to put up much of a fight in that regard. But if you can safely make that play without the contact, I think you're getting a turnover and really defense putting themselves in bad position after a lot of good work.
So Kocher over to Harvey, to Garvey. And PoNY now on the near sideline. Keegan over the top to Mickle. Slicing in to Kocher. So much control from the PoNY offense. And Trent Dillon's on the ground. He'll call the foul.
I think Mickle may have stepped on Dillon's foot. That kind of thing just happens accidentally, but sends Dillon to the ground. Mickle maybe with a couple pounds of weight class advantage there when it comes to matchup with Dillon, but that's one of the strengths of Jimmy Mickle.
Tap back in, disc to Kocher, and shoots back in the end zone. Keegan's there. PoNY with all the patience to get the goal.
Keegan finds the end zone for the second straight time for the PoNY O-line. And if you're Sockeye's defense, I think you got to be really happy with where you're at right now. You are making this PoNY offense grind, and you're adding mileage to the bodies. I mean, these guys, this PoNY O-line probably runs about 8-9 deep. So if you can make them work this hard earlier in the game, the dividends are going to come to you. This Sockeye defense is going to be really happy with making that possession so long and so difficult.
We saw that in the quarterfinals against Machine as well. In the first half, the PoNY O-line had really long points. They were on the field such a long time. In the second half, the tides kind of turned where the Machine O-line was on. And it was really incredible how that reflected the pace and the momentum of which team was ahead at that point.
It even provides additional insulation towards the end of the game, because when PoNY really needs a break, they like to cross over Kocher, Mickle, Yacht. And if you're tiring those guys out in the early part of the game, you take away PoNY's ability to do that. What PoNY's O-line needs is their defense to pick them up, and this is a chance for that PoNY D-line to do that. If they can keep this from being a quick score, they can make this a long, hard point, give those PoNY O-line guys a chance to grab a sip of water, collect themselves, then the PoNY O-line is going to be in better shape. There's a relationship between offense and defense, and when it's a healthy one, your team's healthy.
So the pull goes out of bounds, come in at the brick mark.
In fact, with that in mind, I mean, if I'm the PoNY coaching staff, I might consider a change in defense, something to slow the game down a little bit.
So poaching from PoNY to start. Sockeye on the break side. Janin with the disc. Moving coast to coast. Raider now marked up by Bo Kittredge. That's another fun matchup. Raider looking to the end zone, and Dylan Freechild's just there.
Another assist for Raider as Freechild leaves Conrad Schlor in the dust with this move. Just excellently timed. As you see Raider sizing up. I haven't even talked about Bo Kittredge, who's on that mark, but puts the OI, and look at how open Dylan Freechild is when that disc comes out of Raider's hands. Freechild, a little hop and a skip, show some energy, as he's well known for. But really on that move, Freechild just timed it. He attacked with speed, brought his defender in. Schlor's hips are committed, and Freechild, as soon as he sees that commitment, changes direction. Raider is waiting for it and puts it out to space for his star cutter.
Freechild's acceleration is very close to being unmatched in the division, and just really on display there. That was not the break for the O-line, PoNY O-line that we were talking about.
Absolutely. I mean, I can imagine those PoNY O-line guys when they see that disc go up, knowing it's going to fall into the hands of Freechild. Just letting out a long, hard sigh and saying, back to work, guys.
We better go.
The PoNY mantra is New York, do work. So these guys are out here to grind, but it's gonna with a team this good lined up against you, you need every advantage you can get. It not only takes a ton of skill, talent, depth, hard work to get to a final and win a championship. It takes a little bit of luck. So we can see as the wind has picked up how it's affecting pulling a little bit and which way it's going. That far sideline is the low side of the field, it looks like, as a couple of discs have tended that way. We'll see if defenses or offenses adjust where they're going based on that condition. See a side stack from PoNY to begin this possession.
So pull play right off the bat. Garvey gets it over to Little, centers it back. Finds Mickle, PoNY in the vertical stack. Slices inside to Keegan, continuing to Yacht. Really nice backhand floating around, but there's a call.
Keegan's defender, John Randolph, the 19-year-old phenom, stating his case. Keegan, a 31-year-old vet. I mean, this guy's been around the block a time or two, and he's got to be tasked with trying to escape these young legs. Randolph, an Ulti-World all-college first teamer on the All-American team.
Wow.
As a freshman in college.
It's incredible. Let's take another look at the play. That's ruled a goal.
You can see it here. You can see that little bit of contact, and tough to say. With that angle, it is difficult to say, but you know what? This Sockeye team is playing very physically on defense, and I think you're seeing PoNY respond to that, finding that line of where the two teams really in this self-officiated game have the ability to dictate where the line of appropriate physicality is. And you see right now, these two teams are working through that to find a way to meet in the middle on where that line is going to be.
So PoNY able to respond in quick fashion. They're up by 1 here in this first half. The winner will face Revolver versus Ring of Fire, which will be played later today. And both of those teams, just so much history, so much coverage, especially by Ultiworld, Keith, something that people can see especially if they have an Ultiworld subscription. Got to make the plug.
Absolutely. I mean, we have been working hard to create a full bank of not only full game content, 7 exclusive games from Nationals. Only way that you can get access to that is to our subscription package, but podcasts, analytics, articles, we've got it all. So ultiworld.com/subscribe is the place to get exclusive access to the most vital information for the ultimate fan.
So Sockeye coming out strong. Raider with the disc, throwing in one-on-one. There's a foul called. Simon Montague is the receiver.
A lot of contact from Matt Hennessy, and we saw Sockeye bail out the PoNY offense earlier, and Hennessy maybe doing the same here. He's trying to state his case that he was going straight up, but as you can see, I think Hennessy backing into Montague on the play. Tough to go from running into a stop and go straight up, but I think that's probably a foul accidentally by Hennessy. Raiders Huck leaving something to be desired. And I think Hennessy, with a little more control, maybe can get that turnover without the foul.
Because the throw was falling short, for sure.
It's so tough on those short throws, though, to make an adjustment and a read as a defender. The offense always going to have the advantage there. Observer ruling is that it is a foul, so Montague gets it.
And Montague in the red zone, but some commotion. Now it looks like Danny Karlinski was running to the disc, but then he collided with Kevin Norton, who was actually guarding Raider.
Norton, both of these players look adamant about their position regarding this call, and I would have to side with the defender here. Norton was in his own space, and he had every right to it. The fact that Karlinski wanted it as well does not give him that one. Both teams sense this as a momentum-changing call right now. You can hear the sidelines getting jazzed up.
So it looks like the observers also saw what you saw, Keith, based on body language.
Maybe a little too jazzed up. PoNY defense starts leaving before the stoppage ends. But they're excited. They're fired up as they're going to get a chance to break.
The disc was just thrown into a really tight space that got tangled up. So, PoNY on offense. Lamar picking up. And foul called.
PoNY with their second break chance of the game.
You don't really see a second handler immediately back, so some discussion about who's going to come and fill in.
Stoppages are a great time to communicate with your teammates, get on the same page.
So coming back, Kofer was inside. Norton has to reach for that. Over the top. Lasso. And pick called.
The PoNY defense lacks the spacing and flow that their offense has, but they get it done ugly. This is basically what they've looked like most of the year.
And overthrown. Another chance for Sockeye. Freechild with the disc. Dylan coming under. Goes inside to Russell. And right on the goal line, after a long point, Sockeye able to get the conversion, finds Kosednar. PoNY D-line looking for those conversions, but can't get it. Sockeye not gonna give it back a second time.
PoNY's D-line offense is gonna wanna huddle up, I think, after that one. I think that was chaotic. Really had trouble figuring out who should be where, and the spacing left little room to work with and eventually yielded a turnover. Sockeye, like you said, not going to be too generous with the opportunities.
So they'll get the hold here in the first half. Brian Jones, the D-line coach.
See the observers huddling up, and I think that there is some chance that this game could get a bit contentious. We've seen a number of calls. We've seen players pretty passionate about their point of view in the calls. I think we're seeing a good amount of communication. Players are listening to one another. They're presenting their perspectives. It's not about the players having the same perspective, about agreeing. It's about respecting each other's perspective and believing that your opponent validly believes their perspective. They're not trying to take advantage of the situation. So far, things have been level, but with the amount of physicality, with the amount at stake, it is good that the observers are talking about what they can do to make sure that this game stays on the level, and I hope the teams are thinking about it as well.
So, a lot of float on the pole. That one stays inbound, so some adjustments made. But it looks like a type of zone look coming out from Sockeye.
Yeah, again, like we talked about, I think Sockeye's defense really wants to avoid being one-on-one with the likes of Mikkel, Yad, and Kocher. So they continue to try and junk up the lanes, help at the point of attack where the disc is.
Swings around, sees Mikkel, and Mikkel looks for Yacht. Floating towards the back of the end zone, and a foul called. Saw the height mismatch. Foster 5'9", Yacht 6'6".
Foster has made a career as a defensive bulldog, guarding players bigger and taller than he is. And you see him not afraid to go up against Yacht. But with that disc hanging in the air, changing its flight path on the wind, difficult to both play the disc and effectively play your person. It looks like the players are going to agree to disagree and send this one back with a contested call.
The throwback does not make it in one throw like the initial huck. But with some teamwork, they get it there.
It's so difficult as a deep defender to contend with any cutter when Mikkel has the disc because of his range.
So second shot, resets it to Keegan. Over to Jack Marsh, back to Keegan. See all the switches from Sockeye.
Sockeye's zone defenses have been really effective for them this season, and particularly at this tournament. Their coaching staff has done a great job of preparing a full suite that they can utilize to confuse offenses. The additions of Mike Caldwell and Dave Hogan to Roger Kraft's staff have just ratcheted up the complexity of Sockeye's options.
So after one throw over the top, Mickle back with the disc. And it looks like their zone is really baiting those over the tops, but so far those attempts have been good, but the next throw is down. So Sockeye on offense. Unguarded at the disc. Now right on the doorstep. Murray, that one almost dropped. And right, not in, on the goal line. The next shot is, that's a break for Seattle.
Sockeye able to get the game's first break after the zone defense creates enough chaos. Really an execution error by PoNY's offense, but one of the other advantages of zone defense is that when the turnover happens, matchups are complicated. Teams have to transition into defense without it being clear who has to guard who, and that leads to help, leads to poaching, and PoNY, you can see, struggling a bit with that as Sockeye gained those first few yards of the field before getting into the red zone, and then once that close, they were just able to make one short throw to finish it off. Transition defense letting PoNY down a little bit, and it's one of the strategic advantages of running zone.
So the zone look paid off for Seattle as Sockeye goes up by one. Kind of waiting for a break to happen, kind of feel it.
We'll see how PoNY responds. They have spent much of this tournament digging themselves holes and then scrapping their way back out of them, but it's a dangerous way to live, especially as the quality of opponent just continues to climb.
So the PoNY O-line back out after that point. Mickle with the disc in power position. Yacht really deep. That's hanging, and the next attempt, Yacht is there. Gets it to Garvey. Pick called.
This stoppage is really going to favor the defense as they get a chance to set up and slow down the momentum of the offense with Garvey unmarked.
Looking for the reset. Garvey finds Kocher. A lot of work in the backfield. Swinging from side to side.
Most of PoNY's primary handlers have migrated downfield right now, leaving Kocher and Mickle to take a lot of the touches in the backfield. Will these handlers be able to get open or get back to the handler space?
Keith, do you think some of it's because of the matchups? They have really tight matchups on the handlers, so looking to change it?
Yeah, I think that the handler defenders on Sockeye are winning this battle in this point, and you're seeing the handlers flush out to try and give some space to their teammates to create reset opportunities.
So PoNY on the goal line, not yet in the end zone. Looks like a foul on at the disc.
D.Y. Chen and Harper Garvey seem like they're going to be very familiar with one another by the end of this game. These two teams have been in the feeling out stages for much of this game, but I think those matchups are starting to clarify themselves, and players are starting to learn a lot about one another through their experiences on the field.
It's Mickle with the disc over to Kocher. Little juke to get open. Such tight defense from Sockeye.
PoNY not doing themselves any favors by clogging up some of that space, just making it an even smaller space that the one-on-one defenders have to guard, because there's nowhere for these cutters to go without running into one another. PoNY needs to show some offensive discipline here, particularly around the disc.
So some give and goes from Kocher, continues. Little is not in, gets it to Garvey. Garvey took a lot of passes to get there, but the PoNY O-line manages to score.
Little, maybe a little bit of redemption for the University of Georgia alum. Tries to jump that one in, but he's got a little smile on his face as he makes the little flip over to Garvey. But this is another one of those points like we talked about. The Sockeye defense hoping to wear down this PoNY offense. And right now it's just body blow, body blow, body blow from Sockeye, especially given that literally they play very physically. I think you really have to keep an eye on, is PoNY's offense going to be able to maintain this level of play if Sockeye's defense continues to be this unrelenting and this physical?
It's very suffocating as we're all tied up at 5 apiece. This is the last streamed round that will be played at the Surf Cup Sports Park. And then the following semifinals as well as the finals will move over to Mira Mesa High School. So those games will be picked up by ESPN, live stream there. Some of our friends will be on that game.
Yeah, they know a thing or two about bringing you some exciting, compelling sports content.
They've been here a time or two before, as has Sockeye and Dylan Freechild with the disc. A poach off, gets Dylan with it. He was over the top to find Montague. The disc going up line, some help, but Freechild still manages to get it right outside the front cone. Just piercing through the PoNY defense, and looked like some switches that didn't go quite right. Matt Rader is open.
Rader all over the stat sheet for Sockeye to begin this game. Pair of assists and now adds a goal. But I think that this possession, really the guy to praise is Simon Montague. Montague, a player of great finesse, a long thrower with the ability to release the disc in lots of different ways and with great touch. And you saw that around throw up ahead to Freechild, kind of broke open the defense a little bit. Rader able to finish it off with the throw from Kassedner.
So much amazing content. Keith, I don't think we got to talk quite enough about Ultiworld, and we see a shot of fearless leader Charlie Eisenhood on the sideline. So branded, too.
Eisenhood, the brand is strong over there. He's worked very hard to build the quote-unquote media empire of Ultiworld, but always in the thick of things. And we have a huge team here this weekend, which has allowed us to really explore the game in a lot of different ways, and looking forward to being able to really focus and dial in on games as we go through today, because with them coming basically one at a time, sometimes two at a time, we're really able to dial in and create some new storylines to look at.
And even more available by subscription. So be sure to check that out on ultiworld.com.
Ultiworld.com/subscribe. Get access to all of the in-depth coverage and all the extra game footage.
I'm a fan. I can say I am a subscriber and regular podcast listener, as are many of the players on the field. Lots of coverage featuring PoNY and Jimmy Mickle through the years. Sockeye is back out in the zone look that caused a turnover and made PoNY work so hard on their last offensive point.
Even when your zone defense doesn't get a block, it could be the source of a turnover because you're making your opponent throw so many more throws. And if there's a 1 in 10 chance, 1 in 20 chance that a throw is going to be a turnover, mathematically, you make them throw more of them, more likely to get a turn out of it.
It's just a game of probability at that point. So lots of swings. Sockeye pretty much so far kind of let the reset happen.
Sockeye committing their resources to stopping throws that gain much yardage and giving up a lot of horizontal and backwards action.
Now, looks like PoNY slicing through, figuring it out, but still about 30 yards shy of the end zone. Mickle with the disc, inside to Keegan. And this close to the end zone, Sockeye's still in it, but Chris Kocher runs straight up to the front of the end zone, gets the score for PoNY.
And these zone points are not physically taxing, I think, for many of the key players on PoNY, these zone 0 points. You know, Mickle didn't have to do a lot of running there. Keegan didn't have to do a lot of running there. But they can be kind of mentally taxing. You're forced to think, especially when your opponent's throwing you a bunch of different looks, and you have to spend time trying to analyze what's happening. And that does take its toll over the course of a game and over the course of a 4-day tournament like the club championships.
Especially when you're running a zone offense, the zones are designed to lull you into offensive patterns, so then likely the defender can come in and intercept it or really anticipate. So to your point with that mental game, having more of those pump fakes and not throwing sometimes what your first instinct is to throw because that's what they're baiting you to do, that's still an effective zone defense when that happens.
And I think playing zone offense is a lot about experimenting. You can make cuts without it really punishing your team if they're not great cuts. So you have time to, a little trial and error. What happens if I do this? What does the defense do? That's how you start prying open the zone and identifying what are they taking away? What are they giving up? Where can we attack? Once you start to figure those things out, you can create those spaces, but it takes time and thought, and it requires a lot of intention. And right now, PoNY's offense has been able to display that with their one turn coming as execution error.
So now, a zone look from PoNY as Sockeye is moving it with quick throws between Freechild and Dylan.
PoNY falling out of their zone pretty quickly. They typically won't stay in zone very long. They like to just take teams out of their pull plays.
Raider has that nice blade, high point. It's caught by Russell. Finds Raider, continuing on to Dylan. Floats to Freechild. The movements of Freechild are just always so unpredictable with so much speed.
Australian import Alex Latamatos being tasked with covering Freechild at this point. Latamatos had a tremendous season in playing for PoNY after playing with Kocher and Mickle on Colony in the World Club Championships this year.
So the count's getting high, and a handler misconnection. Such tight defense. Stall was called.
Turnover either way, just a question of where it'll be. And Freechild, I think, if he needed that reset, what he didn't do is communicate effectively. You've got to, particularly on the field, you've got to use your body to show your reset. It's your turn. I'm going to you now. Relying on just them knowing what you're going to do is a dangerous proposition. So when Freechild turns around expecting his reset to be there, he didn't give him any information to work with. So Karlinski was already leaving.
And where he's going to throw it as well. So
it's like showing up to a date without telling them what time you're going to be there and then being mad if they're late.
It's just rude.
Well, right now it could be costly. As Bo Kittredge gets the PoNY defense moving.
And Brian Jones talking about what effect Kittredge has had. 2-on-1. Trent Dillon came in to help with that huck on Latamatos, two Latamatos.
And PoNY has been wasteful with their chances for breaks. It's their third opportunity of the game. Only one of those possessions has lasted more than a couple of throws, and even that one didn't go very far.
So Dillon coming underneath. PoNY in the match defense. Raider with the disc.
Kittredge and Raider have done battle many times over the years, though often with other jerseys.
And looked like maybe someone thought there was a call, but there wasn't. So a couple free throws for Sockeye. Going up the line, Russell with the disc. Not in. So much speed from Janin to get there. And Russell right into the breadbasket. PoNY not taking advantage of the conversion opportunities, and Sockeye taking care of business.
I imagine at halftime there's going to be a lot of conversation in PoNY's huddle about how the defense is going to take advantage of what opportunities they can create. You do all that hard work and squander it, it's brutal. And Sockeye's defense has punched in that second chance every single time. And I hear defensive coach Brian Jones echoing those sentiments. Great pressure, got to execute on the turn. Jones, the defensive coach for this PoNY team. Ben Van Helvelen, the offensive coach. BVH, as he's better known due to the mouthful of that name. But, I mean, we've got two tremendous coaching staffs who are engaging in a chess match from across the field. As you see BVH on the sideline. A tremendous player in his own right back in his day. An imposing figure. Now stewarding so many young players. This PoNY team is really young. And a lot of guys who most people don't know about, coming from programs that they're not familiar with. This is, the old mantra is faceless army. And I think in some ways this PoNY D-line really embodies that. That's what they really believe is their identity, is this gritty, hard-working defense full of guys with chips on their shoulder. Everybody thinks about PoNY and they think about Mickle, they think about Kocher, they think about Yacht, Kittredge, these big names. But these PoNY guys, they all feel like they're disrespected.
And we've seen so many of those names and plays made all throughout the weekend. Keegan over to Mickle. That was something. Mickle puts that up as a bailout. Kocher was last back, but he was actually coming back under.
Mickle with no mark, and I think maybe an internal clock just counting, even though there was no stall count.
So on the other side, two there, but breaking it up, Harper Garvey.
Garvey coming up with a critical block. If that one drops in, Sockeye takes half. PoNY with a reprieve.
The winds have increased to 9 miles an hour, so nearly double what it was just a few minutes ago. Mickle and Kocher back. Do see more spacing from the PoNY vertical stack.
We do continue to see PoNY, however, struggle with creating pick situations. I haven't been able to identify whether these picks are all legitimate or not, but those are cutting, clearing, and stack discipline issues that this offense can't afford because these stoppages are always going to be to the advantage of the defense.
Kocher finds Garvey. Mickle in the deep space. There's the shot. And coming through is Christian Foster, but a foul's called.
And this one's uncontested. I think Foster recognizes that.
A little bit of a chop block.
Yeah. Unfortunate again. Sockeye has struggled to avoid being overly physical on these block opportunities.
So right on the goal line, PoNY looking to tie it up.
But this was messy, a messy red zone possession as Carnegie and Yacht talk about the physicality here. And again, these players trying to find that line.
You just see where all of the PoNY players are. It's like a little bit, we call it the blob set instead of the vertical set.
Oh, this looks like if you just randomly place the players on the board. They need some organization. This is them getting antsy. Everybody wants to make that scoring cut. Foul is going to be the ruling from the observer, and this stoppage is a chance for the offense to collect themselves, create some space. I wouldn't even be surprised to see a timeout.
Mickle keeps it, looks for the reset. Kocher shoots it to Yacht, and that's a goal. We're all tied up at 7s.
After that stoppage, Ben Yacht made about 15 moves in about 10 seconds, but all it took was a reset throw and a throw to the break side. You want to make offense easy. Offense should be easy. When offense is easy, you're doing it right. And the easy throw is the reset to Kocher and the continue to the break side. Let's take another look at the missed opportunity for the PoNY defense. Garvey able to break that up. Garvey takes his shot to Mickle with separation. It hangs just long enough, and Foster getting just a little bit of that wristband. Probably frustrated with himself, and you can see just the dancing Ben Yacht. But it's the easy one that gets him the goal. And Yacht emphatic afterwards. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think that spike is a little bit directed to Carnegie. And that PoNY offense fired up to get another score and survive another war against the physical Sockeye defense.
All tied up. The next team will take half. Still no break conversions from PoNY.
If PoNY breaks to take half, what a momentum swing that would create for their defense. This defense is hungry. They've gotten opportunities, but like you mentioned, that conversion rate just not up to par.
A real test for both teams. There is something about momentum going into half, although, I mean, we've seen it time and time again in this tournament. A team is up by 1, 2, 3 at half, and it's that game of runs. They end up not winning.
A lot of pressure on these two teams. PoNY, a team with so much hype around them. They know what they can do, but have to execute. Sockeye, the team that went 0-3, unceremoniously bounced on day 1 last year. There's pressure on them to become the Sockeye that they're so well known for.
So Sockeye still in their end zone. Lots of passes. Finally make it out. PoNY has loaded up the D-line.
Raider takes off on Bo. Jump ball between the two big men. Bo falling all over trying to get position on Raider. Raider holds him off. Sockeye in control at the half.
And you see Matt Raider is born to rise on this catch. Talking about Bo jockeying position, gives him a bear hug, and Raider just goes up and gets it.
Raider with the basketball box out, going back to his athletic background. Bo fighting for position, Raider conceding nothing. And there's discussion going on in the middle of the field. I think the continued physicality of this game is rising, and players are expressing some dissatisfaction with one another.
So some discussion with the observers and Coach Brian Jones. Bo Kittredge, so huge in the air, but that was just more a game of position, and Bo knew he was out of position as well.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the desperation as he tried to get back into the spot. They both knew where that spot was, but Wader got there first and was not willing to give it up.
So at the half, Sockeye has the lead by 1. They're up 8 over Pride of New York 7. Take a quick break and have an interview at the half.
Colin. Can I trade hats with you for the rest of this game? Yeah, it's just hard to see.
I just find like this program, I'm like, if only I had something I could wear on my hair.
I mean, I imagine you were very I mean, they were accused of cheating on us. Yeah, like Morocco, like the Morocco's having classes on and it's just like, you're cheating. And also, like, more or less, like they were just fouling the market. Like, on life.
No, you're just gonna talk right from here. We're gonna show you on camera, and if you don't want to. That's the camera. Then if you have a conversation with me, we'll talk about it in a minute. Maybe you want to prep them on anything else?
We'll talk about
At the half, Seattle Sockeye is ahead of the Pride of New York, 8-7, and we're here with Sockeye head coach Roger Crafts. Roger, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
So, a very physical first half. How do you think that that's kind of played into some of the calls that have been made and some of the pacing of the game?
It goes back to April, I think, and I love April. April's a great month. That's where we started building, and that's what we keep talking about. I miss April a bunch, and I wish it was still here. So, yeah.
Is that something that you guys have emphasized as you've been building your program, kind of keep it in their shorts?
Yeah, keep it back to what we've been doing, back on our fields, back in Seattle, and keeping it about us.
All right, how crucial was the break that you guys were able to get in that first half?
It's hard to say. We'll see.
Who is a player that you think has really stood out so far?
The best player we have is team ball.
And speaking of that, you've had your zone defense. How do you think the zone defense really working as a team has been effective against PoNY?
I will see about that too.
All right, well, good luck in the second half. That's
Thanks.
Roger Kraft with Seattle Sockeye.
Thank you so much.
And the 2018 USA Ultimate National Championships are presented by VC Ultimate, providing Ultimate's best custom team uniforms and apparel since 1998. Visit VC on the web at vcultimate.com.
Maybe 30 seconds. Yeah, roll it back. And I'll try to give you the labels of what they are. I'm sorry you can't hear me.
Any feedback you guys have?
I'm loving the conversational stuff. Like, you keep setting them up, you keep hearing them. It's great stuff.
At the half, Seattle Sockeye leads the Pride of New York 8-7. Emmy Fitzgerald here with Keith Rayner. And Keith, we have quite a crowd gathering at the Surf City Sports Complex to watch the semis, and it's proven to be pretty exciting so far.
Tremendous first half between the two teams. Physical, competitive, gritty. Everything that I think you expect from this matchup, and the margins have been really narrow. Both teams have gotten chances, and Sockeye able to capitalize once. One play has been the difference right now, and I think we're going to have more plays like that, pivotal game-turning plays in the second half. Hopefully what we don't have is a lot of calls and discussion, because the level of physicality in that first half seems to have thrown both teams off a little bit, and they haven't quite found where they both feel comfortable.
And we did see the observers speaking with the head coaches of both teams right as halftime was starting. If you heard our halftime interview, Roger Crafts was pretty mum on their team discussions about physicality on their team, but it's been on both sides. I mean, both gave him a hug.
Yeah, and both teams are responding in kind, and we'll see if that halftime break gives the teams a chance to get a little more in line with one another's expectations. But Bo Kittredge, a legend in the game, and on this, the 50th anniversary of Ultimate, and a Hall of Fame weekend in which USA Ultimate is inducting Hall of Fame classes from 4 years. A legend like Bo, someone who's probably going to find his name in those annals in the future, it's great to see him on this stage.
Super exciting. Bo is 36 years old. The first club national championship was 40 years ago. Isn't it incredible to think since 40 years ago how much this tournament has progressed, and then 50 years since the sport began?
The sport's beginnings often being traced back to Columbia High School in New Jersey. PoNY, in fact, has a Columbia High School alum, Evan Paget, on the roster. So Columbia still has a factor out here.
It's pretty original gangster, if you ask me. So the pull lands out of bounds. Montague will check it back in. Guarded by Little. So Freechild, isolated in the middle, goes deep, instead finds Janin. And floats. Some miscommunication on the cut. Freechild acknowledges it. Now, the test will be if PoNY is able to convert from this D point.
O-line member Sam Little has crossed over for this D point. This is his second time crossing over, and I believe he's the only member of the O-line to cross over. Can he help this PoNY defense find some momentum?
So Kittredge underneath with the every other so far, but just not the throw that he wanted.
Yeah, I think Raider may have gotten a hand on that. Goes fluttering to the grass, as that throw nearly did before Trent Dillon saved it.
Such a great roll, Raider with the disc. Swings across, Freechild.
Every time that PoNY's defense has given the disc back to Sockeye, they have scored. Will that trend continue? Russell firing.
One-on-one, and there's a collision. Dillon goes up. Steven Stein is there. We're gonna show it again in slow motion.
Take a look as this one hangs. Both players size it up. And at watching it live, I actually thought that it was going to be a foul on the defense, but seeing it now, Dillon entering the space second. Steven Stein, I think, was the first one there, and both players fighting for that space, and I actually would side with the defense here.
I agree with you.
We'll see what the observers say, because our opinion matters a lot less than theirs.
They're hearing it out with the technology. They don't have the technology, so observer rules no foul. Tapped back in live. A second rare opportunity for PoNY to try and convert again. Will they do it?
And already first point of the half, and we may have hit one of those pivotal moments we talked about where the game can be heavily influenced by just a single possession.
Working every other. Number 50, Milo Snyder, to formerly number 50, Bo Kittredge. One-handed catch by Little.
The PoNY Cutters have almost no purchase downfield. Handlers being put in a high-pressure spots and forced to do all the work.
A little addition to this D-line on offense just can't be overstated.
Bit of a big little addition, you know. He has gotten a lot of touches here, matched up with Trent Dillon as a pick call downfield. And I think he's a little frustrated by the fact that he had a power position just a couple of throws ago and did not have an option to get rid of it. PoNY's Cutters looking gassed.
Kittredge kind of running circles around the disc. Far sideline goes to Drost. Now Kittredge. Underneath to Little. Seems a little more invigorated. Schlorer back to Little. Nice breakaway cut from Kittredge. Finds Katz. And there is a call.
Another physical moment here as Snyder tries to clear. He and Montague make contact, and neither player necessarily happy about it. And I think we got to see the reactions toned down a little bit. Everybody is really worked up, understandably. There's a lot of adrenaline going. It's tough to collect yourself, but I find that just taking a deep breath before engaging in your conversation about a foul call it can really help navigate those with a bit more calmness and understanding.
It's hard to take the emotion out of it when emotions are high. And one throw and one call. Our ratio is pretty high at the moment.
But somehow this PoNY D-line has been able to fight through all the way to the goal line.
Right on the line. Drost over the top to Kittredge. And Kittredge will get it to Katz. The break train has finally left the station. We'll see if it can keep going for PoNY.
You cannot understate the addition of Sam Little to the D-line for that point. They get a couple of turns, and Little acts as the point guard for the offense going the other way. Coaching staff's got to feel pretty smart, patting themselves on the back for that substitution.
That was 100% the difference maker from what we've seen so far.
Able to grind down that PoNY offense. We saw that shoe on the other foot in the first half. To start the second half, it's the PoNY defense that is showing the grind, the grit. Showing that pride of New York that they have.
Absolutely. So the next D-line is going to be stacked. We see Kocher and Yacht. Do not see Mickle on this line. I think that's a smart move.
You could tell that this game's going to come down the home stretch with some big moments as we take another look at this critical call. Let you at home be the judge. End result here was no foul.
Comment below. Everybody has an opinion. Keith, I'm sure you hear so many opinions from the Ultimate community about all the things.
And I love it. You know, it's part of what helps us do what we do. But as long as you can have as many opinions as you like, as long as you're willing to listen to some other people's.
I could not agree with that more. Sockeye on offense. You can just feel the temperature rising from an intensity factor on the field. Freechild puts that deep, 2 defenders, and just out of reach. The deep shot's no good.
Kuzan Tice is a speedy target downfield, but the wind gets the better of him, pulls the disc just out of his grasp.
So another break chance for PoNY.
This time with Chris Kocher and Ben Yacht.
So, stoppage. Small spaces up the sideline to Lamar. Quick dish to Kocher. Kocher finds Haskell. They're continuing up this near sideline. Spielman with the disc. The lefty gets it to Yacht. On the goal line, right through the middle. Second break in the row. Yacht to Haskell for the goal.
My, how the tables in this game have turned. Sockeye ends the first half holding all the cards. PoNY, a new hand to start the second half.
Born to rise. Spielman just finds the open space and stays there. Sometimes you don't need to move to get open. If you're open, just stay where you are in the open spot.
And a timeout for PoNY after their O-line has to play 2 hard points and concedes breaks. I mean, you could see that those guys needed a break. They looked tired chasing around this fresh Pony D-line. Now the defense is just trying to gear up, and you talked about the break train as many of the community call it, and you like the train because once it gets rolling, it's tough to stop. Right now, Pony looking for a way to throw the brakes on.
And it's not easy, and you see a tale of two very different huddles out here too. Pony with the cheer, real loose. You see Sockeye focused, dialed in. Not that being loose isn't being focused and dialed in, just manifested in different ways.
But, I don't think the Seattle team is going to be too shocked by this. I don't think they expected to get through this game without taking a punch of their own. Now it's their chance to see how they respond to really a run from this Pony team. These two teams have been dealing out blows all game. Pony now landing a haymaker, and it's on Sockeye to get up off the mat and keep fighting. I think they probably anticipated, hey, we're going to have to take something here, and we're going to have to work through it. It doesn't come easy. That's what makes it worth it, but I think Sockeye knows that, and they have the leadership who's been there before to express that to the rest of this pretty young team. This is not your dad Sockeye. This is not the team that you've seen. Crafts and Caldwell maybe be on the sideline, but many of these guys are youngsters who came up in that Pacific Northwest or imports from other parts of the country, guys who haven't been on that club semifinal stage. So I think for them this has been a tremendous learning experience, but they have the vets to guide the way and to prepare them for these moments. We've seen the grit from both sides, but now it's time for the grace.
The pull goes out of bounds, this time ahead of the end zone. Still goes to the break mark. Sockeye in the side stack. This is the same D-line we saw on the first break, first of two breaks, with Little included. Right away, shot to Raider. Incomplete. Let's wait for it. We knew it was coming. Tightly contested.
Excellent defense from Drost, but let's take a look to see if he could pull it off without a foul.
So, no contest. Raider walks it up, gives time for the Pony defense to set, but the assignments weren't quite there. Seattle answers back right away.
Raider and Cassandra connecting again. Raider's been having quite the game, and you can see his gravity on that point. He has been a premier deep threat in the men's division for years. He's become a stronger and stronger thrower over that time, but when he takes off deep, he demands attention from your defense, and I think Pony has been struggling to try and contain him. He's really helped the Sockeye offense find success. He continues to help find the end zone.
You could see the composure that he had walking up to the line. So cool and collected.
This is just the beginning of a long semifinal day, Emmy. We've got a number of games coming up from Mira Mesa High School, and then tomorrow we get 3 finals. Mixed final at 1 p.m., women's final at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, and the men will finish us up at 6 p.m. Eastern time. That'll all be on ESPN 3.
It's kind of perfect, right? We're on Pacific time, so the games are much earlier for the rest of the continental United States, Canada, and Mexico, all part of nationals qualifiers. But then if you're on Central Time or East Coast, you get so much ultimate into the evening you get to watch. So the Pony O-line coming out. They've had a few points of a break. Sockeye in the switch zone look. Kocher with the disc in the middle. He sees Mickle. Yacht going deep. But instead, we'll get the reset. Pick called.
Fresh set of legs from Sockeye being thrown at Mickle. They're looking to go with the, we'll just defend you with 10 different people, try and wear you down. Try and keep it from getting comfortable with who you're matched up against. Julian Hausman having to guard Mickle now, but they have been rotating through.
Yacht back to Garvey. And Garvey shoots in the end zone is Dean. And that's a goal.
Garvey rifling a forehand into the breeze to the back corner of the end zone, doing what he does best, showing off that power. This is a guy with a big forehand, a big hammer, and the 24-year-old handler has been put in a gigantic spot for this PoNY team, a vital member of their offense. Even at his young age with so little elite experience, he played D3 in college, so not a lot of those ESPN games for him to play on, but this is a young man who really has the opportunity to blossom and has had such a big role on this PoNY team, and we've seen him grow over the course of the season. His ability to play under pressure for this team could be one of the deciding factors on whether or not they can win a title. But if you watch his face, you wouldn't know it. I mean, Harper Garvey is arguably the most placid 24-year-old male Ultimate player I've ever seen. I think he could have just thrown a 90-yard hammer to win the title or a Callahan to lose it, and his expression would be the same.
So that's so important especially high-level games. You can't let it get to you. The soft cap is on. It is a game to 12, and you must score to win.
So the pressure has shifted to Seattle. Simply trading will not be enough.
Sockeye moving the disc over to the near sideline. Dylan to Freechild. Now to Raider. See Dylan in the deep space. They throw it to Yannon instead.
Great counter cut by Jannon. Sees Trent Dillon taking off deep and pulling some defenders, opening up a bunch of space, and attacks it aggressively.
Sednar with the disc. Freechild runs out in front. Raider in the red zone, straight to the front cone. There's Jacob Jannon. Seattle answers.
And they needed that answer. They needed to get that goal, and they pull it off. Freechild coming up with a huge up line cut. Conrad Schloer being assigned to cover Freechild there and did all he could to take away that up line. I think this word's overused, and I hesitate to use it myself, but that's almost unguardable. Freechild's acceleration and explosiveness in that space demands a defender to try and take away that short curl cut, and then he just turns upfield. A throw that most players would have to let fall to the ground as a turnover, he can catch up to. Freechild exploding into that upline space keeps the offense moving for Sockeye when they were trapped on the sideline.
So we're all tied up at 10s. It's a game to 12. Sunny and breezy here at the Surf Cup Sports Park. Seattle with the disc to pull. Ben Snell has the disc for that pull.
Trent Dillon and Dylan Freechild, Matt Russell all joining some of the typical D-line guys. As you can see that this one is a big one for Sockeye, so they're bringing in the big guns. How about
with the disc right away?
How about this matchup? Dylan Freechild and Jimmy Mickle, two USA Live Ultimate ambassadors. Callahan.
And Kotcher and Yacht in the deep space. Yacht through the sky. Let's take another look.
Yacht just taking the elevator all the way to the top floor. Unfortunately, comes crashing back down the other way. Somehow it was Chris Kotcher whose hand was wrapped around the disc when they came down. A complicated, messy situation with 4 players there. So now a perhaps even more complicated discussion ensuing between them. I mean, I think it's hard, you'd be hard-pressed to say that Yacht, the contact didn't prevent him from being able to make a fair play there. And he looked like he was going roughly straight up, at least by one plane.
And it is ruled a goal. So PoNY will go up by 1 point away from the finals. What a put from Jimmy Mickle. We've seen it so many times before.
Yeah, it almost doesn't feel as special because Mickle does it all the time. Yacht, however, with a massive play on the other end of that one. That's one you're probably going to see popping up on social media. What a moment. 2 players who've joined this PoNY team in their quest for a title. And I mean, Yacht has it in his hands. It actually looks like he is both fouled by the defender, but then stripped by Kotcher. So the disc actually hits off of Kotcher as Yacht comes down with it. I don't think you can actually call a strip on your own teammate.
Okay, we're looking at it in slow motion.
So here's the contact from Dylan. It sends Yacht twisting, and on his way down, it looks like he hits Kotcher, and that dislodges the disc. I think you can't argue really that Dylan did not foul Yacht. I think maybe the right call there is what they came to, because Yacht had completed a catch. He had stopped rotation on the disc, and then the contact ensued from Dylan, and then the disc came out. But on the scoreboard, it's going to be a goal, and that means New York PoNY is a single goal away from advancing to the club championship final.
So the disc is rolled out of bounds, immediately checked in. Freechild picks up, he launches it to the end zone, and that diving catch, but Drost is there. So PoNY D-line coming up big in the second half. Floating into space, Freechild closes in, but the reception's made. Latamatos passed it off, but contact away from the disc. Christian Foster's on the ground.
He took the brunt of that one. Just a collision, I think, where a bit of traffic. Jacob Janin getting up now, and looks like he is okay. He is going to take an injury sub, it looks like, and this is actually this is a huge moment, obviously, in this game, because Janin taking the injury sub means PoNY's also going to get a sub. They get to bring Jimmy Mickle in on offense with the game hanging in the balance. Janin, if you're injured, you have to take that sub. I'm not arguing that he shouldn't, but you have to pay attention to the strategic advantage that PoNY just earned with that. It's an unfortunate side effect in some ways.
So a timeout's called. It's a wise choice. It's a good opportunity to do the dual screens, which everybody pretty much does anyway. Our other field, Snake Country versus Mixtape, is all tied up at 12s. Game to 13.
There have been just so many close games here at the at this sports complex in San Diego. The pre-quarters round, the quarterfinals rounds. I mean, we have had thrillers at every turn, and this one has lived up to it as well. I mean, talk about setting the tone for semifinal Saturday. PoNY's going to come out of this timeout with a chance to advance. Sockeye seeing their season flash before their eyes.
Desperately looking for a way to get the turn and then convert.
I mean, this second half, it feels like the Sockeye offense has kind of unraveled, particularly over these last couple points. Those were turns that looked, that just spoke of a nervous team that really felt like they had to get to the end zone. And this is their chance to collect their composure. This is their chance to show that they can weather the storm.
So Little will check it in for PoNY. Mickle, the other handler, back. Latamatos also comes back to help, goes to Mickle, and does a front roll in the follow-through.
Freetrial doing nearly everything possible to take that away from Mickle, and just a throw to space and Mickle's bigger body able to get there first.
Latamatos, Australian teammate of Kocher and Mickle for Worlds, puts that to Mickle, but a pick is called.
So this game eerily quiet right now as things are figured out, a calm in the storm here at the eye. And it feels like this matchup between Dylan Freechild and Jimmy Mickle is going to define this possession.
And if you're a fan of the sport, which I think you are because you're watching this, that is just one of the most fun matchups, period, that you'll see. Plus this one, Raider and Kittredge. What a treat we've had. Kittredge puts that to space.
Empty space, unfortunately, for him.
No one's there, and immediately converts. So we're tied at 11s. Double game point.
Matt Raider, 4 assists, gets to the end zone for the third time this game. And he has been putting on a show and has been the center point of this Sockeye offense. And a harrowing moment. And I mean, you look back, you can't help but think of Kittredge's throwaway in the national championship game against Ironside, back with this old team, Revolver, very eerily similar. The forehand reset to space, nobody's home. Kittredge is probably seeing those phantoms right now, but timeout, as both teams know that it's all coming down to this. I mean, I think that you can't be, I hesitate to be overly dramatic, but I mean, these are the hopes and dreams of these teams. And the work
It worked for months.
that has been done to get here. And for some of them, it's been years of work. I mean, it goes beyond this season. These PoNY guys don't know, is Mickle going to be back next year? You know, you don't know when your window's going to close. You never know. Sometimes it may feel like you got a 10-year window, but it may be just a season. Sockeye has been the team to see that window shut suddenly, and they know that it's precious. They're trying to open that window now and get into the final and have a shot at a title. He'll have to do it on defense.
And the timeout called to set up this point, that just adds to the incredible drama of the moment as well.
Oh yeah, you can't have a crescendo if you don't drop down first.
It's like when you're waiting for the beat to drop in the club, this is the moment that happens.
Star-studded point up ahead. Free Child, Trent Dillon. No Matt Rader on for the Sockeye D-line. Mickle, Kocher, Yacht. Pony's offense going to work.
Kocher has the disc, gets it to Yacht. Mickle right up the line, guarded by Dylan Freechild. Swings around. Keegan is there. Reset it to Mickle. Yacht's working in the deep space. Little comes underneath. Another reset to Keegan. There's the layout, but it will continue instead to Yacht.
John Randolph is giving Keegan fits, but the vet just keeps managing to find a little bit of space.
Now Garvey on the force side. He'll reset it to Mickle. Back over to Keegan. Little with two hands. In the red zone. Looking with a trip to nationals. Right to the front cone is Harper Garvey. And PoNY advances to the finals.
What a game, Emmy. Two incredible teams. Get sports cliche after sports cliche. I mean, we could do this all day, but just a gritty victory for PoNY, who continues to make comebacks with everything on the line.
Coming in as this tournament started, they drop a pool play game to Bravo, and you see they had so many successes in the previous two tournaments before, not knowing, could they make it to the finals? So much hype since Yacht and Kittredge and Mickle joined this roster. But what a game, though. Sockeye, you must give all the credit to Seattle Sockeye as well, putting up such an incredible fight. Matt Rader and Janet and Dylan, what do you think is going to be the biggest weapon, though, for PoNY being able to face against the winner of Ring Revolver?
You know, Charlie Eisenhood and I had a live deep look, our podcast, done for our Nationals preview here from San Diego, and on that I called Mickle and Kocher the trump card. I mean, that is the weapon they can go to when all else feels like it fails, that nobody else has. It's the aces in their pocket, and it's the thing that nobody really has an answer for. It's not really plan A for them, and we saw that in this game. It's not their number one, this is who we try and be, but when push comes to shove, those two guys can get it done. Mickle made a lot of little plays on that final point that you know, Keegan being just swarmed by John Randolph and Mickle throwing him open multiple times. This is a special player we're seeing, and we may see him carry this PoNY team to a championship. Very much looking forward to seeing who it'll be they face in the final.
What a game as the Pride of New York wins by 1. So much physicality on both sides of the disc. Sockeye keeping it interesting, but the Pride of New York showing that hard work. For Keith Rayner, I'm Emmy Fitzgerald. What a game. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in to the rest of the semifinals and finals coverage on ESPN3. Thank you, VC Ultimate. for your continued support of USA Ultimate.